Hey everybody, it's Mario with Beyond Fitness, and today I'm answering a question that I saw in a group called the IIFYM, the official If It Fits Your Macros fan page. And before I go ahead, I'm just going to let you guys know right now that it's going to be a two-part answer. First kind of being the directed answer to Denise Yerger, I believe. I'm sorry if I pronounced it incorrectly. And then the second is going to be a generalized response to other parents perhaps that have the same question as you. So first, the question asked by Denise Yerger, I'll also post a link to that in the description box below. This was directed to Anthony Kalova, however numerous people on the fan page actually started answering it as well. So it's to Anthony Kalova. On IIFYM, I'm trying to figure out my son's macros for bulking. He is 15, an avid wrestler, and is looking to put on muscle. I put his numbers in, and it gives me his macros if he is wanting to lose. It shows his bulking calories, but I don't know how to figure out his macros for that. What is the percentage again? Anyone? His bulking calories are 2,800 and change. He is 15, 5'11", has a naturally big build, the classic wide shoulders, etc. Thanks. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and say, to get an idea of your rough child's macros, I'm going to give you pretty much a base, kind of like a starting base caloric intake, and while you did say 2,800, I'd say that unless you know for sure that your child is, actually tracking, get a rough 7-day estimate of his total caloric intake. So rough 7 days, because I don't believe it's 2,800. It just seems too minimal for a kid that's almost 6 foot, 15 years old. And again, since he's young, you could go with something as 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. If he wants to have a little bit more increased protein intake, that's fine. Or he could go with a standard 1 gram, because if he's bulking, that's entirely fine as well. Predominantly, depending how high his calories get, you could go ahead and set fat at about half a gram of, per pound of body weight. And as his calories get higher, then you can start gradually, I guess you could say, increasing that fat intake, because it doesn't have to be half a gram, because what happens is you're going to get some of these, I like to call them metabolic freaks, that literally start gaining weight on 600 grams of carbs plus. And then what you tend to find is that you can't ever enjoy, let's say, a good steak, because what's going to happen is that it's just, you're going to kill your trace amounts, or I guess you could say all that carb intake, and even as well as protein, is going to have trace amounts of fat that are tagged along with it. And then you can't ever sit down and gradually have, let's say, just one solid steak meal or one, good fat meal, because it's all of those trace amounts of fat they're going to build up and take up in his fat intake. So that's something I, kind of look at as well. So again, that's kind of the first part of it. And I guess you could say carbs will make up the rest. And the second part is kind of like I guess you could say, you can look at it from 3 perspectives. And that is, should your child really be focusing on counting his macros, being only 15? So your typical high school kid, let's assume anywhere from 14 to 18 years old. And for the general answer, I'm going to go ahead and say no on this. And also, that was even a question by some people on the page as well. And this is, again, there's a different side to this as well. So let's say that, let's answer the yes portion of it first. I would find a valid reason for your child to start tracking his intake. Let's say that he was already a top tier wrestler. He's already had numerous years of wrestling under his belt, competing in some sort of organization, federation outside of high school. And let's say that he has aspirations to be a wrestler at the Olympic level. Then yes, go ahead and start being more strict with his nutritional intake. However, if your child is merely in wrestling, for some sort of recreational activity outside of school, just to hang out with his buddies, find some time to be engaged in a sport, then yeah, go ahead and then in that case, I would say no, tracking his macros is not something to be entirely concerned of. However, as a parent, I'm pretty happy that you're taking interest in your son's nutrition. So the best thing I would say is to actually teach him the concept, so that when he does have to make weight for an event, he knows how to properly diet down, as opposed to these, excuse my language here, fucking moronic high school coaches that tell their students and tell their athletes, hey, go get a garbage bag suit, start doing a couple laps around the hallways. And I BS you not, I'm speaking on behalf, because being engaged in, I guess you could say, wrestling my junior, senior year, that's what the coaches did. They didn't know how to tell their athletes to cut weight. They just told them, hey, there's a meet coming up, you're about 7 pounds too heavy, get a garbage bag, start doing laps. Starve yourself and start doing laps. That's all they did. And if they were still a little bit too heavier, yeah, there were kids in the back that would get a cup, start spitting in a cup because they gotta make weight. So when you realize that a meet is coming up and your son has to make weight, then teach him the concept so he knows how to properly diet down for an event. And again, kind of like the other part I wanted to add to this was, again, it's kind of a follow-up as well. I don't believe any kids in general should be tracking their nutritional intake because while there are, I guess you could say, a few natural bodybuilders and figure athletes, figure competitors that are pretty much competing in high school, and what happens is that this lifestyle of habitually counting your intake day in, day out eventually takes a social, I guess you could say a toll on your life, both your personal life and also your social, your friendships in general. And again, I'm speaking on behalf of natural bodybuilders, and because when it comes to people that track their nutritional intake, there are no people worse than bodybuilders, and I'm telling you, I've already known a few people that have, I guess you could say, taken a definite huge toll in their life. And I speak so strongly on this because even knowing them personally, knowing a few people that are very well established in this field, even they say that it just, screw natural bodybuilding because the extremities of this, kind of like the personality you have to manage a lifestyle really starts to take a toll on you. And this means, being responsible for taking accountability for your intake day in, day out is something that not many kids want to have in their life, and other kids are going to view them as outsiders. So, I'll go as far as to say that some people go as far as bringing, a fucking food scale to a restaurant, which I find to be just fucking obnoxious and kind of like the extreme end of where it'll lead you. But if your child is only in this recreationally, just doing it for some fun, find a way to, maybe build some muscle and have fun, gain some new peers out of it, then he should not be tracking his intake. He should enjoy himself and make sure that he is eating enough, because these are the prime years where he will be making the most noticeable gains on his training. And at least if there's one thing I know that high school coaches typically have, is that they have a solid training protocol. So that whether that means something like a bigger, faster, stronger 3-day training split where it's not going to impede his practice when he's wrestling against, with, like, let's say his classmates or something, then yeah, he has to find that healthy medium. But again, that's kind of my general answer. Sorry if I may have ranted off here, but hopefully, Denise, you have found this to be helpful, and other parents as well that may have the same question. Go ahead and like this video if you enjoyed the content. Please subscribe to my channel, like my shit, all that YouTube bullshit, and I will talk to you guys next time.